Story models, kit review time. Today we've got Kinetic's 1/48 scale Super Etendard, an aircraft that has been around for so long, so iconic. It's been, you know, obviously in the 80s with the Falklands conflict, right bang up to date recently with the Afghan war, and then obviously I've seen it last year even at an air show with a fantastic display, and it's one of those aircraft that's very iconic, and a multitude of jobs it fulfills and everything else like that. So it's absolutely a stunning aircraft, and it's nice to see we've got a good version of it now in 1/48 scale. So looking at the box, as we can see, get rid of the glare, got beautiful artwork there, show it coming down on the carrier. It looks like we've got the various sort of markings for it down there done by Cartograph, which is quite nice. And we'll have a quick look around on the box. So as you can see, we've got the options down here as we've got them down here. So we've got the Argentinian one down here from obviously 1983, and then we've got who else have we got down here? We've got the Iraqi Air Force one, and then we've got obviously the Libyan raid mission ones from 2011, and we've got an Afghan one there from 2008. So we've got some nice options down there as we make our way through with the French markings. Usual thing, kit number for this one is K48061. A little bit more just on the back, as you can see, not too much on the box of these guys. Okay, and in the box, as always, I have not looked in the box, nor have I looked at anybody else's review. Okay, if I can get that to stand up, that would be absolutely fantastic. There we go. So straight in the box, as we can see, pretty much stuffed full. We'll do our usual thing. We'll have a look at the instructions first. A little bit of photo etch floating around in there as well. Okay, which we'll have a look at the moment. Beautiful decal sheet. Okay, so straight down in Kinetic's normal way, you know, not the best instructions in the world. They tend to be quite grainy in image, but you know, usually they're sort of good enough for what we need. So cockpit. You've got obviously the difference between the SEM and the SEU displays for the instrument panel, so obviously you'll make your pick of what you want there. Seat going all together, seat being put in, you see quite complex how it all works. Then we've got a front wheel well, looks to have good details down in there and everything else, and the main gear well as well, putting those in for the nose wheels and the bits and pieces. And then depending on the options you want, I imagine down in here is this. Yeah, oars. So there's lots of oars in here, so you're going to want to make sure you're doing them. So you've got the engine in flight down in here, okay, using a 4143, takeoff and landing 4041. So it's obviously the ram door, the little door on the side, you can see it up here, obviously in the open and closed position. Okay, so that's putting those in. Full length intake, which is quite a nice touch, so we can see it down in there. We'll have to see if it's seamless or not. And then obviously you've got the splitter each side of it. That main well we just would have built underneath, the nose wheel and the cockpit all being put in, and then obviously the nozzle. All right, nice little side diagram there showing the positioning of obviously how it's all going to line up as it goes in. Then right underneath here, so you've got speed brake doors open or closed, obviously going down here at the bottom. And then it's actually putting in, which is a weird way of doing it, the doors all on and the activators before the gear goes in itself, which begs the question how you're supposed to put it down. Okay, so then you've got the canopy, all the aerials, all the different bits and pieces, the sensors and everything else. And again, the SEU or the SEM version with the tails. One with the pointy tail, one with the chisel tail. Okay, and on the other side, all the lumps and bumps, nozzles and the various bits and pieces going on there. And then the front intake as well, which be interesting to see how that would line up and go on. All right, so there's that one. And on the other side, as you can see, lots of lumps, bumps and all the rest of it. The actual tail hook going in there. All right, a couple of air scoops for the underneath. Again, lots of lumps and bumps on this particular aircraft going underneath. Nice to see we've got a little diagram here showing how they're going to fit all on there. The wing section. So on this, you have got an option to do a wing fold or have it straight open, which is a very nice touch. So and there we go. So that's putting all those in. All the little parts, so you've got the flaps up and down, the little scraper bars, things like that, all going in. And on the other side for the wings folded, showing it how it's all going to go. Can't see any problems with any of that. All looks pretty nice, and exactly the same on the other side. And then over on here, I'll get hold of this, so you can see the wings going in. Be interested to see how they line up and go in. Okay, because obviously you've got these little tiny differences on the sides, going to be doing those. Then eventually you get your gear in, then you can do the tail planes, and as I say, it's not an all moving tail on these by the looks of it, unless that's one hell of a trim bar on the back. I would have thought it must have been all moving tail, with an extra little bit of control surface on the back of those. All right. Then it's into making up your weapon system. So we've got the famous French Magic short-range infrared missiles, Exocet missile, obviously. Very nice to see we've got a refueling, air-to-air refueling drogue system for the underside. Obviously, your obligatory fuel tanks, things like that. We've got a targeting pod down here, looks like a sniper pod, sorry, a lantern pod just down there. And then we've got the various parts, as you can see, with the weapons load, exactly how you want to put those all on your personal choice. Okay, again, this is what I hate about their instructions. As you can see, you've got very you know, it's very poorly laid out. It'd be nice to have a nice colourful set down here and everything else. Okay, so there we go. That's all of those being put on. Lots of them, as you can imagine, all over this. And then you've got the markings. So there we go. We've got the French one during the 80s. So who we got? 11 Squadron, 14 Squadron, they disbanded 1991, and 17 Squadron markings down there. So it's your standard sort of dark sea grey and white underneath. This is the more modern version you can see up there with the wraparound camo. This is the one with the grey all over. Again, so you've got 11 Squadron, 17 Squadron flotillas for during the Afghan campaign in 2008, and then this guy over here, when is this? 2011 one, Libyan markings, okay, with that nice camo over the top. So it's the two-tone grey camo, grey underneath. Very nice markings on that one. That would be my choice. Okay, then we got down here, we've got the Argentinian one, obviously during the 80s with the conflicts that went on down there, carrying the Exocets. And with the beautiful anchors on there, again, that would probably be a marking I'd want to do. Very, very nice. Something I wasn't aware of, and that is that the actual Iraqi Air Force flew them 1983-85. Quite a short-lived history, obviously, with those, but I wasn't aware that he even used them. And that is it. One thing that's really nice with this kit is this. So down here, we've got markings for pretty much anyone, which is a very nice way of doing it. Now, these are cartograph. I'm not going to harp on about how brilliant you are and amazing, but just generally, the quality is absolutely stunning on these decals. They are absolutely always in register. They're always gorgeously done. You never get any graininess with them. That is the very, very nice thing about cartograph. Okay, tiny, thin piece of photo etch. So these little bits down here, I assume are going to be on the tail planes down on here somewhere. These are the little doors, or the flap up ones that are going to be on top of the wings, and it looks like a little bit of HUD down there. Okay, that's those. Now in the bags, sticky bags, I'm hoping. Yes, we have sticky bags. Inundated with them last week. Okay, so we'll drop them on the floor this time so they don't fall over. Right, there we go. So actually not as bad as I thought. The details are actually quite nice on this. All the plastic has that type of texture, and also it's that soft styrene that we're getting sort of used to these days with them. Okay, but the details do look quite fine. Panel lining, if I'm honest, is probably a little bit overdone. Where you can see this on the close-ups and things like that. It's not the best in the world. The riveting detail looks quite soft. It's not as sharp as you'd seen. And then this up here on the tail, catch you in the light, things like that, you might be able to see it's very, very heavy. In fact, that's got to be too heavy, surely. That's like thumb size, so that looks to be completely overdone. Down here on the actual exhaust area, doesn't look too bad at all, but up here on the tail, that looks to be really, really heavy. The wings, obviously got the photo etch part's going to go down in here. The rest of it all looks quite nice. We've got this horrible open hub two-part system. I actually detest that in kits. It just takes too long to do something that should be so simple. Generally not too bad. I'm trying to work out, I don't know how well the camera actually see this. If we just drop the side cam down even closer, pushing my luck with it, I know, but generally it looks like that was 3D printed, because it's got that lininess, the graininess to the part. So I don't know if that was something in its ancient history when it was being designed, developed. This is the two types of tails we're talking with, the SuE, or sorry, the SuE and the SuM. Two tails down there. That's your real difference between those. The intakes themselves don't look too bad, although you have got some nasty little flash and ejector pin marks on those, so these could be a problem. These front slats, you've got ejector pins down in here, as you can see as well. They're not the easiest to work with. But generally not too bad. The cockpit, I've got the instrument panel just down in here. There we go. It doesn't look too bad. It's all raised details, so that's not too bad at all. The tails, everything else doesn't it's not shouting out like obviously that SuE we did the other day, but generally it's halfway there. We've got a little bit of cleanup marks down on here been occurring. There's no details from the inside because obviously it's all going to be separates and things like that down there. But yeah, it's there, halfway there, shall we say. Not too bad at all. Okay, and that's your other cockpit instrument panel, as you can see down there. But generally, not too bad. Some nice details. A very nice start. Okay, so we've got the other side. This hopefully will have a tub in it and have the hubs. Alrighty. So this part here, as you say, we've got the other side of it. Some more details. Everything looks to be okay. It's just I'm surprised. Like, this is a classic example of what we're talking about here. I don't know how well you can see, but if you look at the details now on this side of the fuselage, they're a lot finer, very nice, very much like the tail, no problem at all. And then you've got this one with these whacking great. See the difference? I know it's a bit tricky with these angles of getting them off the sprue perhaps. But this is huge, big holes. This is very light refined. Why would you do that? Why would you have one half really thick and one half fine? If it was this on the other side, we'd have no problem with it. But, you know, catch it in the light, you can see it, no problem at all. But you see it in these guys, you catch them in the light, it's huge. It's a world apart. It looks like it's from a different model almost. Okay? And again, we've got a problem here. My point is, why is it? There's definitely an issue side-by-side fit with these, because one side is quite chunky, the other side's quite refined. I don't understand why you would do that. For instance, the panel lining all on the bottom of this guy down here is quite chunky and quite heavy. This side isn't. Why would you do such a thing? It's definitely finer on this side. All of it seems to be lighter. Alright, these doors here are a bit huge, but you know. Anyway, moving on, for reasons why it's totally different. Okay, bottoms don't look too bad. Perhaps again, these just a little bit overdone. Not quite sure. Some of these access panels seem to be quite heavy, quite chunky and all the rest of it. Generally, working our way around here, we've got the wheel hubs. These are the centres, and I know some people say, well, it's easier to paint them and all the rest of it. I don't think so. Okay, so there we go. These are the front slats. You can see just down on here like this, and the underside not too bad with those at all. But generally, if we work our way down on this fuselage, as you can see, I don't know, it just looks a little bit heavy. Anyway, moving along. So inside, we've got the intakes, sorry, the speed brakes down here. They're quite nice. The cockpit tub itself doesn't look too bad at all, so that's okay. Okay, a little bit, but you're not going to see down in there. We've got the front engine, I imagine, the nose of it. And then obviously we've got the braking system and the actual thing for the gear down there. I don't think anything's a real problem on this. It's just quite heavy and chunky. Okay, it's quite a nice touch we got down here. We've actually got the main bay itself. Okay, and the back of them, say some ejector pin marks in there. You can probably catch those in the light. You can see them. Shame about those, unfortunately. But not too bad. Bit weird. Okay. As I say, the trouble is, after doing their almost SuE33, everything is now going to look awful. Okay, so we got some huge burring occurring on this already, so it doesn't bode well for the rest of the model, but we have got some huge, in fact massive burring between the two parts. Well, you can see it on there. It is quite heavy duty just down on these, down on here. You've got your nozzle, the parts, all the details, to be honest, on these don't look too bad at all. They're all okay. These are the main slats, things like that. Okay, flipping it over to the business end. So not too bad at all. Some very nice details. This is the nose wheel section down, as we can see it down on here. We have got a couple of very light, very shallow markings just down on here. Some ejector pin marks just down in there, but they're not too much of a problem. Little guys like this you might want to take care of, just sand them out, make sure they're all okay. Okay, there's your nozzle, which to be honest is nothing really going on down there at all. Okay. Yeah, a little bit of burring between the two, but as you say, if you've got an Alex scraper, just give them a whip round and you'll be absolutely fine. Okay, so this is going to be a mirror. This is all your weapons fit. Say not a million parts in this particular kit. Okay, we just do one of these. Oh, that's funny. It's stuck. Maybe the sticky stuff off the bags. Let me just get rid of that because it's going to stick to everything. Duplicate sprue, so we can just have a look at the one, and down here as you see we've got the weapons fit, obviously the very famous Exocet. This is a lovely little touch though, having the actual refueling buddy pod down underneath there. That's very nice as well, and because it's a duplicate sprue you're going to end up with two of them, so you can have a spare. Okay, that's the bit of the drogue bag at the back when it's in the folded up internal position. Everything else, the propeller off the front. 2 magics, so you're going to get 4 magics off of this missiles as well, which obviously were known as the best. I think the Israelis copied them and called it a Python, wasn't it, and all the rest of it, so upgraded it like that. No problem with any of that at all. Some very nice, actually this is quite a nice sprue. The details all very nice, all very in register, and everything else like that. But you can see you've got the pods down there like that. We've got the Exocets over here. Got the wing tanks each side of them. Down there, the pylons are all very nice. Those magic missiles don't look too bad at all. Actually, that's probably one of the better sprues on this one. Very nice, no problem with any of that whatsoever. Okay, so now we're having a look in the clear parts. Okay, so alright, we got a little bit of distortion, but really I'm being picky on this now because actually I don't think that is too bad at all. Unfortunately though, little touches which are a pain from a modelling point of view. The edges, as this makes it round, a little bit of a mismold, not too sure on that. But yeah, these edges you can see they're very soft, and when they're soft like this, it's almost, well, there is no boundary. If it's got an edge on it, you can then just obviously go right up to it, run a blade down it and cut them out. Die cut masks obviously make it a lot easier because they're already done to shape, but also the way it is joining the actual part down here, you can probably see it on the bottom. It's a little bit of a pain because it is so close to the clear part. When you've got all this framework, why put it so close? You know, you could just put it anywhere completely out of the way, but no, they've moulded it right there. It's quite a bit of distortion as you're trying to look through the clear part as well, so there's not much going on there. All the other parts, the little parts and everything else, the wing and wheels, lights, things like that, they're all fine. Just unfortunately there is non-existent, there's no edge to it, so just masking up. If you want to do it freehand like I do, wrap right the way around and then whip round with the blade, job done. Probably not an option with this one because you just can't see where you're going to go. So I'd probably use a thinner tape and go round, put them in corner, stage, wrap around and all the rest of it. This guy at the top be a right pain because it is just so soft all the way over. So if it had a nice edge on it, you could just run the tape in and then obviously, you know, come in with a cocktail stick and then whip around it with a blade, job done. But no, and again, trying to get that out, it's going to be a particular pain to do that. So unfortunately, that's it. Ending on a low note. Is it good? Yeah, obviously it is probably the best Super Etendard we've got out there at the moment. Obviously going back there is other kits, but they're pretty horrible and nasty, so this is definitely going to be your go-to kit. Is it perfect? No, I don't like the way that they actually got that ejector pins. Some of them are a little bit heavy and in the way. Obviously we got the thing with the, which is probably the major issue with this, is why we do have this, you know, setup. Why has it got that heavy on one and not on the other? To me, that is just a little bit weird. And as I say, I don't know if you can see this. This is got this seam line, and this is what this is. As you can see down here, and you've got a little bit of mold here. This is how it's all done. It's like a multi-part injection, and unfortunately that's very reminiscent of how Trumpeter used to do it back in the day, of have that huge seam running down on here. But yeah, I don't know, it's just, you catch it in the light like that, you see how fine that one is. No problem at all. That is good. I have no problem with that at all. It's just that when you come around with this guy and you can see this one, you can see it immediately how heavy that is. It's just too much. But why would you have it on one, not the other? Okay, not too sure about that one, if I'm honest. But there we go. I didn't make it and all the rest of it. It's just you'd think in CAD work, one would mirror the other side. Not too sure. Anyway, so that's a downside. I think I would probably come in there with a thicker couple of coats of primer just to nail that back a little bit, to make it more even to the other side. Something to think about when you're coming in with the priming stage and all the rest of it. The intakes, yes, they got a couple of ejector pins in there, but if we're honest, they're that thin and nothing really to worry about, and a couple of swipes to take care of that. Very nice detail with the cockpit. I do like the nose wheel. I do like the cockpits on their own. I don't think they're too much of a problem. It's a very small cockpit in there, so you're not going to have to worry too much. Perhaps putting in an aftermarket bang seat in there may be the way to go with this one. Funny how the instructions as well work with it. Why would you put the doors on before putting gear on it in the first place and all the rest of it? I can't see a problem with putting it on afterwards. Obviously from a painting and modelling point of view, I don't know. Again, it makes me wonder who's designing these kits and putting them together. If you were doing it like a modeler, there's no way you would put the doors on before putting the gear on and all the rest of it. Again, a very strange way of doing it. You know, technically Kinetic do have a modelling background. They are modelers as well as manufacturers. It's not like manufacturing is their second thing and all the rest of it. Cartograph decals, let's face it, they are beautiful, amazing. I love the options for the scheme there. I love the Argentinian one, that's really, really nice. But as I say, doing this one with a wraparound camo on it is also a bit of a favourite of mine. I'd be split between the two. So there we go, that is Kinetic's 1/48 scale Super Etendard.